Just a real quick announcement for those who are grabbing audio or video. If you want to plug into the multiplexer and you haven't yet, now's the time. We'll be getting started here in just a moment. Test, 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 test. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Is everybody plugged in? Who needs to be plugged in?
A little bit east of that 7-Eleven on
all right.
17th Redwood.
Okay, I'd like to draw your attention up here, and I'd like to introduce our host for today, Anna Wiley, our General Manager of the Refinery.
Thanks, Jenna. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Refinery. My name's Anna Wiley. I'm the General Manager of this facility, and it is my pleasure to welcome you here to Kennecott Utah Copper Refinery. Thank you very much for coming out today. I think it's a fabulous day to be outside, you know, for a press conference, but maybe you have a different view. I think I also like to thank you for your patience with our site access procedures. I know they take a little bit of time, but safety is very important to us here at Kennecott Utah Copper, and it is very important that for all of our visitors we follow this procedure. As I said, across Kennecott, safety is a core value. This has helped us achieve an injury rate that's 3 times better than the national average for other mining companies, although perhaps our standability needs some improving. Here at the refinery, we recently celebrated 2 years of lost time injury free, which it was a fantastic achievement for all of us, and a great indication of the dedication and ability of our crews here at the refinery. One of the ways we like to keep the focus on safety is to start all of our meetings and gatherings with a safety share. This one will be no different. It helps to inform us of the different hazards around and make sure everybody stays aware. Today I wanted to talk about something we often talk about here, eyes on path. It may sound simple, but on a day like today, it really is easy to take a little tumble. As you walk around the refinery, as you're taking your video, as you're taking your photos, Please be aware and keep eyes on path. This means watching where you're going, be aware of the many icy trip hazards that are out today at the facility. And once we get inside as part of the tours, please watch your step, as there are a few steps and nasty trip hazards. So thank you very much for your patience with that. The refinery is the fourth and final stage of the Kennecott Utah Copper process. This is the end of the copper's journey. It started at the mine down at Bingham, it passed through the Copperton concentrator, it passed through the smelter that's just up the road from us, and it ended its journey here at the refinery, where we turn it into our final copper cathode product. In 2009, Kennecott Utah Copper comprised 25% of the nation's copper supply. All of this copper came from the doors of these refineries. Our customers take this copper and turn it into many products which I'm sure you're familiar with. Things that you saw today: you turned on the light, electrical wiring; you had a shower, copper plumbing; you used the phone, electrical telecommunications. All of these things use copper, and maybe even today some of those things was used copper that came from this refinery here at Kennecott. Copper is also is used a lot in green technology. There's twice as much copper in a hybrid car as there is in an ordinary car. From all of these products and uses, copper is a really important way of life, part of our life. And here at Kennecott, we want to keep making that copper for many years to come, right out to 2028. And we've got a project that we're working on to enable us to do that, the Cornerstone project. But in order to extend the operation, there are several things we have to do, one of which is be able to generate more power and have more forms of energy efficient systems. And actually, that's why we're here today. We're all here today to talk about energy. And to do that, I'd like to hand you over to our Director of Energy for Kennecott, Steve Sands.
Thank you, Anna, for the introduction. As Anna mentioned, I'm Steve Sands, and I'm the Director of Energy Programs here at Kennecott Utah Copper. My role is to lead a team of people who study and recommend solutions to meet Kennecott's current and future energy supply requirements, and to do this in a responsible and sustainable way. Some of you may be wondering what this structure behind me is, and why we're all standing out here in the cold this morning. The unit looks simple enough, but what goes on inside the unit is an important part of our energy supply strategy here at Kennecott. The unit may seem a bit nondescript, but the engineer in me thinks it's actually a pretty smart way to co-produce electricity and steam from a single clean-burning natural gas fuel source. And that makes it a beautiful piece of equipment, in my opinion. Inside these cabinets are a bunch of ducts, burners, fans, valves, a generator, a turbine, and a boiler. You'll see all the key components of the refinery CHP system here on this illustration. But together these components make up our new refinery combined heat and power unit, which is frequently referred to as a CHP unit. It is one of the cleanest and most energy efficient power supply systems on the market today. The CHP unit is being commissioned right now, but will soon be producing 6.2 megawatts of electricity for the refinery. That is the equivalent electrical needs of 6,000 average-sized houses. It is fueled by natural gas. The natural gas is burned in the turbine, which spins a generator to create electricity. Waste heat from the exhaust of the turbine then goes into a boiler chamber to produce steam that's used to heat the electrolyte solution used in the copper refining process, and also to heat other processes within the refinery facility. This refinery CHP will produce the entire facility's steam requirement, about 50% of the refinery's electrical requirements, and will operate at greater than 80% efficiency and will achieve greater than 90% reductions in emissions as compared to separate power and heat systems. It is more efficient because transmission losses are avoided and the overall reliability is improved by co-producing steam and electricity on site where it is used and generated. This is our first CHP unit, but within the next 2 years we'll be bringing another CHP unit online. The second CHP unit will provide steam and an additional 6.2 megawatts of power to our new molybdenum autoclave processing facility when that's completed in 2012. Between these two CHP systems, Kennecott will have invested more than $20 million and added more than 12 megawatts of power, resulting in less dependence on grid-supplied power and more to meet our operational requirements. These CHP systems are an integral part of Kennecott's energy strategy. With the addition of the Refinery CHP system, we're having some trouble with wind today. With the addition of Kennecott's Refinery CHP system, Kennecott's power supply from clean and alternative sources will be at 13%. When the Moly Autoclave CHP unit comes online in 2012, Kennecott's power supply from high-efficiency alternative power sources will be at 16%. The state of Utah's goal is to achieve 20% alternative power supply by the year 2025. The Refinery CHP is now officially part of Kennecott's power supply mix. It complements our smelter, which generates up to 60% of the smelter's power needs through waste heat recovery systems from one of the cleanest copper smelting processes in the world. It complements our solar installation at our reverse osmosis water treatment facility, and it also complements our award-winning efforts to reduce vehicle idling across our property. Kennecott has had a successful track record in implementing high-efficiency cogeneration systems. We've spent more than $50 million in the past 15 years on these such systems. As you have heard, Kennecott has made significant investment in reducing air quality emissions and installing more efficient systems. And now I'd like to introduce you to Kennecott Utah Copper's President and CEO, who will make an historic announcement about Kennecott and their plans to go even further in reducing emissions and improving overall energy supply efficiencies. Kelly?
Thank you, Steve. Obviously, the winds of change are affecting us today, as you can see from some of the posters that are getting blown around. Thank you very much for coming today. We appreciate your time and interest in coming and hearing about our announcement. We do have a couple of announcements to make today. One is the individual who started with us today, Anna Wiley, has recently gotten married, and that is a fantastic announcement. The human aspects of work and life are what's important, and the human aspects of our community is what this announcement today is in part about. So thank you, Steve, for the sharing that you had. I was interested, as you talked about the combined heat and power system, if it was possible for you to get a bit of that heat right around here, would be nice. I'd also like to acknowledge some other folks that are here that you'll meet while you're on the tour. Clayton Walker, who is the Chief Operating Officer, is there behind you. I believe Pat Keenan, our CFO, is in the group as well. And I'd like Brendan for you to raise your hand. Brendan is our Vice President of Projects. He's accountable for the project that you see behind you, as well as the project that I'll talk about here in just a minute. So as Steve has said, there are some positive changes taking place here at Kennecott. And I'm pleased to announce to you today a significant and positive step that Kennecott will be making to improve air quality and energy efficiency. As many of you know, we generate the majority of our own power to operate our operations on a 24-hour, 365-day-a-year operation. During the winter months, we do not operate our own power plant. Instead, we purchase power off the grid. So we do not add emissions during the inversion season. The rest of the year, we produce power from an on-site power plant here in Magna. You can see it looking west from the Magna Main Street. Many of you know the location of our power plant. It's been there for 6 decades and primarily has burnt coal. KUC requires a reliable supply of energy to power our operation for now and for the mine extension that we've shared with you in the recent past. We care about our community, the economy, and the environment. And today we're announcing that we're proposing to the Utah Department of Environmental Quality a plan to dramatically reduce our power plant emissions and increase energy efficiency through switching to a combined cycle natural gas operation. Investment in this new technology means greater energy efficiency, which nearly doubles the power generation efficiency of the repowered units. Not only are we going to convert 3 of the 4 boilers to natural gas, we will be significantly lowering emissions of criteria air pollutants. As you can see from the poster here on my left, that's moved due to the winds of change. This power plant upgrade will significantly reduce Kennecott's emission contribution to the Salt Lake Valley by reducing SO2 by 99%, NOx by 95%, PM10 by 60%, and PM2.5 by 30% from those 3 units. This move to largely natural gas will be the company's single largest effort to improve air quality in the Salt Lake Valley since the upgrade of our smelter in 1995. The decreases proposed at the power plant for PM10 and PM10 precursors are greater than 20% of Kennecott's total emissions. These decreases are equivalent to removing 1 in 10 vehicles off the roads from both Salt Lake and Utah counties. We do this while at the same time generating an additional 100 megawatts of power. The new natural gas plant will also be permitted to operate year-round with the ability to produce 275 megawatts total. In addition to Unit 4, which will continue to produce up to 75 megawatts of power using either coal or natural gas for diversity of fuel options. This power plant upgrade is contingent on receiving regulatory approval of our permits and capital investment from Rio Tinto. Not only will the upgraded power plant meet Kennecott's additional power needs, it will free up energy we now buy off the grid for others to use in the community. Make no mistake, Kennecott's driver in proposing these upgrades is the desire to positively impact air quality in this unique and constrained airshed. But we didn't get here alone. We regularly meet with numerous stakeholders, and we have been doing this for over 5 years. These stakeholders include elected officials, community and business leaders, and over 20 environmental organizations. Kennecott has listened, received multiple feedbacks, and has done our best to incorporate the input from these groups. In the end, the proposed solution for Kennecott will benefit the environment, the community, and the economy. One such stakeholder is High Road for Human Rights. I'm delighted now to introduce to you the executive director of this organization, many of you know, Rocky Anderson, to talk about the community involvement process. Rocky, please come forward. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Kelly, and I give you all our congratulations. I know that this is a long process. I know that it's very expensive, but it is fantastic progress. When I was mayor of Salt Lake City, the Salt Lake Tribune brought in a new editor, Nancy Conway, who is still editor of the newspaper. When we met the first time over lunch, she asked me what I viewed as the most important local issue. I replied that without any doubt the most pressing problem in terms of the environment, public health, and long-term economic development is our poor air quality. She replied that because of a respiratory problem, she was looking at homes in Park City. I exclaimed, "Isn't that amazing that our air is so poor that the editor of our city's largest daily newspaper may have to live outside the city?" Also, during my time as mayor, I made it clear that I see the most pressing problem for our planet to be the vast disruption of our climate as a result of the emission of billions of tons of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere and into our oceans, the acidification of which is rapidly threatening much of the sea life upon which much of humankind depends. Now, as Executive Director of High Road for Human Rights, I have called and continue to call upon governments, non-governmental organizations, industry, and the public to recognize the severe threat of climate change to the fundamental human rights of hundreds of millions of people worldwide, including throughout the Intermountain West. Instead of focusing on science and solutions, many people and corporations have endeavored to transform the issue of climate change into a partisan political issue. It has been refreshing to know that Rio Tinto, known here in its operations as Kennecott, a major industry that can provide leadership in the business community, is unequivocal in, and this is in Rio Tinto's own words, accepting the urgent need for climate change action and recognizing the issue as being one of our greatest challenges and opportunities. Rio Tinto has stated, "We believe that emissions of greenhouse gases, GHGs, resulting from human activities are contributing to climate change. Avoiding human-caused changes to the climate is an important international goal. In order to achieve this goal, the world needs reductions in emissions of greenhouse gases." That's in a statement, you can easily access it, a policy statement by Rio Tinto. Not only has Rio Tinto called for federal legislation that will place a price on carbon emissions, it has committed in its own operations to take the steps necessary to significantly reduce the emission of greenhouse gases. Consistent with its call for real change, Rio Tinto is now planning to take measures that will reduce dangerous criteria pollutants and reduce the emission of greenhouse gases, while at the same time expanding its operations. Those who maintain that we can't grow our economy and our industrial output without an increase in pollution should pay heed to what Rio Tinto is doing in Utah. Right now, Kennecott obtains about 90% of its energy from the burning of coal. With changes now being contemplated, it will reduce that reliance upon coal to only about 20%, utilizing instead natural gas, which will result in better local air quality and in significantly fewer carbon emissions. By 2017, there will be an annual reduction of 430,000 metric tons annually of carbon dioxide emissions. This is great progress, but we cannot let up. We will continue to push for even greater advances, including the utilization of clean, renewable sources of electricity, such as solar, wind, and geothermal, as well as greater efficiencies that will result in reduced energy demands. We must celebrate progress, even when more can be done. I congratulate Rio Tinto and Kennecott for its extensive ongoing dialogue with representatives of area environmental organizations and with High Road for Human Rights, which focuses on the worsening climate crisis as a major human rights challenge. While celebrating progress like that being made by Rio Tinto and Kennecott, we all need to raise the bar in every possible way, protecting the public health and human rights through cleaner air and vigorously combating catastrophic climate change. Let us call upon every corporation, every governmental official, and every individual to take urgent and effective measures to significantly reduce, if not eliminate, the negative impacts on our environment, public health, and basic human rights. Again, congratulations to Kelly and everyone who has helped make this day possible. This is terrific progress for the state of Utah and will also serve to provide an amazing example for industry and governmental leaders throughout the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Rocky, for those comments and for the challenges that you and your group and the other environmental groups present to us as we have those dialogues, and will continue to have those dialogues. So at this point in time, I'm happy to take a few questions if anybody has any.
You said that it's contingent on DEQ approval and also on Rio Tinto committing the capital investment. Have they not made that commitment?
Yeah, Rio Tinto has made 2 capital investments so far. We go through a 3-phase process in our process, and it's study process, then what we call a pre-feasibility process, which we have completed, and we're now in the feasibility process. So when you complete that, then you make a final decision. So the process requires us to get a permit and to go through final design.
But is there any question that they'll commit the money if the permits are approved?
Look, the significant issue that you're asking here deals with the extension of the mine. So the reason we're going forward with the efforts that we are directly related and linked to extending the mine life. If for any reason we were not able to extend the mine life, then we would step back and take another look at what we're doing.
Thank you.
Could you please step forward and ask your question? Because of the combined heat and power system, I can't hear it.
The 4th boiler, is it not feasible to convert that to all natural gas?
The 4th boiler is able to burn natural gas currently. We have the option of burning natural gas or coal. And so there's not a conversion that's required for that. Other questions?
Just to clarify what you're saying, so in addition to this being and converting the other one, it's non-permissible without a line expansion?
Yes, the main power plant produces, it's rated at 175 megawatts, where the combined heat and power system is a 6 megawatt system that provides power for this. The 175 megawatt system, the Utah power plant, provides power throughout our value chain. In order to the requirement for the additional 100 megawatts, which the conversion allows, is required for the extension of the mine life, which will also have with it an expansion of the concentrator, or another way to say that, a 5th line on a concentrator unit, which requires that additional power. If the mine life is not extended and that expansion of the concentrator is not completed, then we would step back and re-look at what we would do with the power plant, because the additional 100 megawatts would not be required. Have I responded to that? Okay. Any other questions? Ask the question one more time, please.
Is this for the web? What?
The changes at the question is, how are the air quality improvements related to the extension of the mine? And the answer to that is, in order, when we go to extend the mine life, we require additional power. As we looked at our power needs, we saw an opportunity to not only expand the power plant, but to make improvements in the air emissions from that power plant. So they are directly linked to the extension of the mine life. Any other questions? Thank you very much for coming today. I'll turn it back over to Anna. I hope that you'll enjoy a tour through the facilities here and enjoy that safely.
Thanks very much, Kelly. I'd also like to thank Rocky Anderson for his earlier remarks. I think they really encapsulate what we're trying to achieve here at Kennecott Utah Copper and the benefits that it'll give the valley going forward. It is my absolute pleasure to have you all here today and be able to host you for some tours through our facility. You'll be able to take video, photos of the actual facility. As Steve Sands mentioned earlier, behind me is the Combined Heat and Power Unit, what we call the CHP. It will soon provide 50% of the refinery's power. The natural gas is burned in a turbine that spins a generator, creating electricity. But it's the waste heat that we're able to capture off this that then powers our boiler, the boiler here in the facility, and provides heat for our processes and steam. The steam itself we use the majority of in the tank house, and the tank house after this will be our first stop on the tour. The first thing you'll see in the tank house is where we take the 750-pound anodes that the smelter just up the road here delivers to us and turn them into our final product, which is a 300-pound, 99.99% pure copper cathode. So when we talk about Kennecott copper, that's it. It's coming out of here as 99.99% pure copper, the 300-pound cathode. The process that we use to do that is called electrolytic refining. I'm actually a coal miner and had to learn that when I got here. This is another piece of information for you, add to the one that Kelly gave you earlier on my marital status. The electrolytic refining process, in simple terms, takes our anodes that we get from the smelter up the road. We put a stainless steel blank next to them, which forms the cathode. We apply a current to that, and over a period of 11 days, that current allows the copper ions to migrate from the anode and plate the copper cathode. So what we get is the pure copper plating across to the copper cathode, and any residual impurities drop to the bottom of the cell. So that's how we get our purity. So here we're all about making the copper cathode as pure as we can. So it takes 11 days to make one 300-pound copper cathode. After that 11 days, we remove them from the cells, you'll see, and we use another process, a new piece of technology that was installed 2 years ago here at the refinery, our transfer cars, to move those cathode down to the product handling area. We wash the cathode and we sample it to make sure it really is good stuff, and then we bundle it up into 5,000-pound bundles. They're loaded onto rail cars, and that copper then goes to our customers. We produce over 900 tonnes a day of copper from this facility, and as I said, it really is the last stop on the line for Kennecott's copper. We'll take you through that entire process. As I said earlier, Eyes on Path is the theme of today. I do find that you guys have got better things to look at than where you're walking, so I really hope that you're able to keep a lookout for where you're walking today rather than looking around the facility. Thank you very much for coming down today on behalf of the whole Kennecott team.